What's going on? What's going on? So this is how you get into doing food reviews. So just to let everybody know. So my name is Ken Walker. You can follow me on all platforms. Ken Walker Show. I got into food vlogging. I want to say 2022, but I have been doing food for like all my whole life. So I had a restaurant here in Columbia, South Carolina. I've got a Guinness World Record for the world's most expensive crab cake. I been on Food Network, Guys Grocery Games, Proclamation. I won a national food truck competition. So, I'm not just one of those influencers that kind of got into like food reviews because I just thought it was something cool to do. I actually love food, had a successful career in food, but to get more into it was, once I shut down my restaurant, is when I kind of started like the next year. I shut down my restaurant in 2021. The next year is when I actually started in 2022 doing food reviews. St. Patty's Day, never forget, best friend bet me $100 I couldn't find a spot that she didn't know about. And I found a spot, it was easy, I posted it, and it did really well. So like the thing about it was, I wasn't just your typical food reviewer. Like I go around and I just like everything just for the promo video. At first I was just kind of like, if I didn't like it, I didn't really say too much about the dish because I never want to bash someone's thing. So I definitely think that when you go in, you want to have your own distinct personality, right? I know I was that type of person. Like I want to give you a point of view from my standpoint. So when I went in, I only had don't think you need to start off with a lot of stuff. I really only had my iPhone 12 iPhone 12. And even then I wasn't really familiar with like camera settings and stuff of that nature. I had like a Fuji camera a long time ago, but I never really focused on that. So sometimes I didn't even wipe off my lens. If you go back on some of my old videos, lens wasn't wiped off. Like I had it like on some low settings. Someone kind of told me like, yo, you need to help your settings for stuff. So I started off just not knowing, and I gradually learned. So it's not something where I just came out the gates and was just like, boom, I'm fantastic at this thing. I learned. But what I did was I just kept going around to places and paying my own way. Like your first time out the gate, people are not gonna really pay you because, who knows you? Like, what rep do you have that I can be like, if this person comes, I'm gonna get an ROI, which is return on investment. People think like a lot of times they first start off like, oh, you should book me for this. I'm like, why? Why should I book you? And that's how I always take into like, why should someone book me for anything? You can have the utmost confidence, but I want the utmost return on my money. So two different people arguing over almost the same thing. And how I felt was I went in, kept doing it, kept posting. I stayed consistent using my own money to do this. And then eventually I built up enough crowd, and a lot of people already knew me from my restaurant. So I will definitely say that I did have a leg up when I did start because a lot of people had already still been following me since my restaurant days. But I went in and I started reviewing. So once again, I was just doing my restaurant. I was only giving my point of view. And I had actually used a influencer for mine. I think his price when I had my restaurant was like, if I'm not mistaken, $150. And him and his friend came in. Come to find out he was actually buying followers. I figured that out later on. But he was actually buying followers. And he was my first influencer. That was the first time actually dealing with an influencer when I had my restaurant. And he had really hyped it up, sold it. And I was just like, try something different. But I didn't see a return on my investment. So I kept going around to places. I think I may have been 15 spots in by this time. And I was just not only doing food. So I definitely want to say, unless you just want to be stuck in food, try different places to go. So I was hitting up landmarks, old museums. I was talking about things that people didn't like, the history of Columbia. I was really honing in on just food. So food was 80% of it. The other 20% was just me going around to different places. I went to a Smash Room, went to an arcade. I just went to different things that I think people would want to see. Because at the end of the day, you're vlogging to solve a problem. I mean, you could be doing it for yourself, but you're solving a problem for people. Like, yo, if I go here, what should I get? Or if I do this activity, how should I feel? So I always do it off this premises, which is just me. Everything is based on how I feel. So I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I'm not saying that my opinion is the end all be all. But what I am saying is, based off how I feel, is what I'm going to talk about. If I walk in and I'm just like, it gives me Miami vibes, I'm going to say it gives me Miami vibes. I don't care where I'm at outside of Miami, because I'm be like, it gives me Miami vibes in Miami. It's crazy. But we had a spot here, Breakfast Every Week. It gives me Miami vibes. South Beach You know what I'm saying? Miami vibes. So that's how I described it. And a lot of people's like, oh yeah, I feel like, because I mean, at the end of the day, you're telling a story, and this is how you reel people in. If you're like everybody else, just like your intro's the same, how you sit on a table, bite food's the same, I'm not gonna watch it because I feel like you're being inauthentic. Like, be yourself. What are you gonna do? Is there a tagline or something that you specifically say that's gonna make me want to look at your channel, make me want to look at your videos? That's the biggest thing. Everyone sees what works for other people, not knowing that in real marketing, also have marketing company too, but in real marketing, literally, you're basing the best marketing techniques off of the skills that you have. You can learn extra skills, but a lot of times people have a radio voice, right? So I'm gonna use your voice, like make it captivating. And some people just they talk with their hands, so that's a thing. But to get on and to find out that a lot of people just talk like everybody else, I'm like, I don't want to watch it, because I feel like I'm not getting an authentic experience. I'm getting someone who's trying to sell me on something. So they paid you to come. There's nothing wrong with that. Get your money how you get your money. But if I'm trying to base it off where I'm gonna eat, I don't really care that you got paid. I really want to know, like, how was the food? You got a payment. That's great. Do you, bro, sis, whoever, do you. But was the food good? Or what's the experience as good as it says? Or are you just doing promo? You can tell I'm just doing promo because a lot of times I'm not rating the food. And I'm just like, hey, you should go. They do pay me for like promo videos and stuff like that, but I don't give ratings to those videos because it's unfair. They're paying me, not just because they're paying me, because a lot of people pay me to come out. So let me just say that. The other thing is, at first I did not want to take payments because I felt like a lot of people felt like I was going to be inauthentic. Once you accept payments, then that means you have to say something nice. But now I have it in my contracts to where I literally state what you're paying for is my audience, my time, editing, things of that nature. You're not paying for a positive review. So don't think that you about to get in here, have me come try to find us some fine food and be like, I paid for a 5. No, you did not. You paid for my time. You did not pay for a 5. I do a rating based 5 out of 5. I'm not doing that whole 10 thing. You get 5 out of 5. Okay? That's what you get. 5 out of 5. That's the highest you can get. You get 1 out of 5, and I had some 1 out of 5s that had some string beans to kind of remember that. It was not up to par. I'm never gonna give somebody a 0. That's like styrofoam. Like, you basically gave me a plate with no food on it. But I will definitely say that be authentic to your ratings, and also I want you to venture out and try different food outside of your area, because a lot of times you can find out gumbo made in New Orleans is a lot different than gumbo made in Charleston, South Carolina. But to each person, they make the best gumbo. We get it. You're from there. You're supposed to think that. But a lot of times people base like, oh, my grandma always made this cornbread, so I base everything. Your grandma may not have been the best cook. So you have to take everything sometimes with a grain of salt, but also understand that there's different cultures that make things a different way, no matter if it's the same dish itself. So definitely take that into consideration. And don't be afraid to charge once you start getting a lot of inquiries, because people have to pay for your time. Let me tell you something. They will definitely use you for a plate of food. If you haven't learned anything from this video, they will use you for a plate of food. They will be like, yeah, come on in. Once you're a massive amount of following, they'll be like, we're just gonna give you a food. We're gonna give you like a plate. You just come. No. You know how long it takes to edit videos? You know how long it takes to direct, go in here, figure out what I want to do, make sure I had the right shot the first time. Because I'm gonna take a couple shots. I don't know about you. I'm gonna take a couple shots when I do it. But that still takes time. And so basically what you're saying when you set the plate of food was, I'm cheap. Because they're gonna benefit. So imagine if you send, say your crowd is 50 people. Let's say their average plate is $10, right? 50 people times 10 is $500. They gave you a free plate of food for $10. You just brought them in $500. And you feel like, well, they're a small business. Well, technically, aren't you one, too? Like, aren't you a small business? So shouldn't you be paid for your time? Because they get paid for their time. Shouldn't you be paid for your time? I don't want to do that because they're super small. Okay. And last time I checked, you can't pay your bills with hugs. So you're gonna have to make something work. And it's okay to want to charge, because they're gonna charge you. If you weren't who you were, they would not be inviting you. Sorry to tell you this. They would not be inviting you if you did not serve some type of purpose for them. So if you was just regular, plain Jane or Joe, you would not be there. At the same point in time, you got to understand that you're worth something. Please do not discredit yourself because you feel like, I'm not as big as this other person. If people are consistently calling you, you have some type of value. Use that as leverage to get somewhere. Stop downplaying yourself. And stop pretending like you can't start just with your phone, because I sure did. And it led to the somewhat empire I have now. And I'm still growing. I'm still doing things. I was editing on TikTok before I got CapCut. I was using Musical.ly downloads to try to take the watermarks off when I found out how to do it. Like, I was trying to find every trick in the book. I was on YouTube, like this right here. Make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you like and subscribe and share this video. But I was on YouTube. I was looking up all kind of information, because if I want to get in something, I'm going to research it. But at the end of the day, it's up to you to want to do better and get to this next level. So if you start, this is definitely the video for you to understand where I came from and how I started and how I kept building. And then eventually start getting contracts. They start wanting you to come out of town. You start naming your price, and every year you should definitely be going up. You should not be the same as the year previous. As the previous year, you should not have the same price. Sometimes you jump up in months. Sometimes you jump up in weeks. So you just gotta think about it. But yo, I just want to get my insight. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share.